I've really dealt with this issue since high school, and I've always been an athlete. I think it progressively got worse to the point where even lying down giving me great discomfort. I was basically bedridden for like a week. I just couldn't move. And now I have no issues at all, really. In everyday, day-to-day life, no pain at all. Running, pulls, squats. Last night was the most volume with front squats I'd ever done. I feel better than I have ever felt before, honestly.
First of all, man, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. It really means
Yeah.
a lot.
No, I'm happy to.
Why don't we get started? Maybe by you tell us about like who you are, how old are you, how long you've been having this lower back pain.
I'm Kalen. I'm 25 years old. Recently graduated with my master's. I work as a geotech engineer. This lower back pain, the chronic pain started about October last year. If not tightness, I'd be in pain in specific positions. And then I guess from October to April of this year, I think it progressively got worse to the point where even lying down giving me great discomfort. I couldn't even put on jeans without struggling to bend over and get my feet in. But since I've been doing these exercises and think being a bit more aware of my back, I've really dealt with this issue since high school. I mean, not to a severe case like it was over this past year, but I mean, I remember being like my sophomore year of high school, we'd have like assemblies and I couldn't sit cross-legged on the floor for more than like 30 minutes without having to stand up because my back would cramp up. And I've actually always had issues in that right lower back area, like having trouble getting into like small positions where like I'm bringing my knees close to my chest. And I've always been an athlete. And so a lot of like hinging movements, unilateral movements where I have like my right leg forward, it's always been really uncomfortable. I've always gotten like this, it just never felt right. Like it's always been like something's been pulling my right lower back and like where my abs are, like they've never been firing like my left side is supposed to. I mean, my left side does. And I just thought that was like tight hamstrings. I don't know. I've done a lot of stretches and strengthening exercises, bird dogs, you name it, just and I mean, it did help to an extent, but yeah, it's just always felt off. And I don't know, I came to the conclusion I was kind of just built that way.
Yeah, so I guess what's your worst point before we start working together?
I know it was after a squat session, but I just couldn't sleep the entire night because, yeah, I was just in pain. There were actually two or three times in that 6 month period from October to about April where I was experiencing consistent pain where I was basically bedridden for like a week. Yeah, I just couldn't move. That was probably like the lowest points.
And what about now?
And now I have no issues at all, really. In everyday, day-to-day life, no pain at all. It's almost non-existent now. The only time where I ever really feel any stiffness is when I'm doing front squats, but like everything else, pulls, squats, running, I don't know, bending over, I feel better than I have ever felt before, honestly. I think what's really been the most surprising was being able to get into those like really like shortened positions where I'm like bringing my knee up. As far as I can remember, I've always had like a little like tweak whenever I try to do that in my lower right hip, and now it's just like it's like nothing. Like I can lift my leg up, stand on one leg, and it's like no pain at all, which is crazy to think about because like yeah, that's I've always had that sensation for as long as I can remember.
I see. Now, and just kind of remind me as well, like what kind of therapy you have ever tried before we start working together.
I mean, I've been to multiple physios. Well, I guess I think there were injuries that were related to my hip. I used to get like really bad hip flexor strains. And so I've been to like two or three physios. In college, I swam and school physio that they had me on a program for a couple of months. But I don't know, a lot of unilateral core exercises, dead bugs, bird dogs. I can't remember how many stretches I've tried to do. Or like different areas, you see people on the internet telling you like, oh, it's because of this area is tight. That's why you're feeling pain here. And I've done a lot and it's never really addressed the pain as much as this program I've been on with you.
Yeah, so what would you say the biggest difference between all the exercises we're doing versus all the exercises you ever try with your physical therapist?
I've never worked with someone or seen information online that's addressing oh, that's stating that the issue is like structural. It's just like the way I move in day-to-day life and the way like my frame sits. That's the real issue. And if you don't address that, like all these other stretches and ex strengthening exercises, like will never really fully, address the real issue. It's kind of like a band-aid solution. I think that's like that shift in like thinking about the root cause of my hip pain is probably the biggest difference I've experienced with you and also this program when compared to, everything else, other methods I've tried. The exercises, they take a while to show noticeable results. But yeah, I don't know, it works. Like it's hard to say more than that. It gets the job done.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people say the same thing. So it's like, first couple of weeks, you feel like you're doing something, but you're not sure what you're doing something, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what makes you believe this actually works for you? Because a lot of people, um, I think maybe they kind of lost that phase within the first couple of weeks. But if you stick to this, you know,
Mm,
maybe 1 or 2 months, you look back, you're gonna be like, whoa, whoa, I don't feel like
yeah.
I don't have, hip pain or lower back pain anymore. So like what makes you kind of really believe in this method, even if, at the beginning of it, you don't feel like you're doing much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the hard thing too. Well, when I started, I was basically just desperate for a solution.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me, I told myself like you can't really come to a conclusion that something like this is productive within the first month of doing it. I guess you also have to be really accountable with yourself, like are you doing the exercises correctly? Are you doing them as consistently as you're supposed to? Are you doing other things that may be detrimental to the exercises? Yeah, and like I had to look at it from that perspective, right? Because I mean, I think personally, I have not been the most consistent at times with these. I've also told you that I've been training consistently throughout these, so I know certain movements that I do work to the detriment of the exercises sometimes, and I think to me it's just all about being accountable. Like are you really doing all you can to get everything you can out of it? Because if you are, give it a few weeks, I guarantee you'll see good results, which is what I've seen. I've fallen off consistently doing these multiple times since I've started with you. But as soon as I've gotten back on it 2 to 3 weeks, it's been way better. Like the pain, mobility. And so when I'm holding myself accountable and I know I'm doing what I should be doing, I'm getting results.
That's
Yeah.
great, man. I'm happy for you as well. Let's show off a little bit. I want to tell people like what kind of a movement you can do right now, or what kind of exercise. I know you sent me a picture back in the day where you do a snatch, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's some pretty nasty work. So I just show off to people a little bit like what you can do right now, and before we start working together, that you can't even think to do that movement.
For about, I mean, yeah, since basically even before the chronic pain started, I was having limitations in my movement and specific exercises just had gotten really hard. And the big one is front squats. Since like August last year, I could not front squat without like serious pain, putting myself out for the rest of the week if I tried to front squat. I mean, yesterday I actually did a zombie squat with 315 pounds and I paused at the bottom and like I'm fine now. It's funny because like even before I was like fully out of front squats, even doing it would like put me out for a couple days. Like the stiffness I'd get like up my right side, it would be so hard to do any other exercise, but I feel fine right now. I feel like, I could lift again today if I wanted to. Yeah, to me that was crazy. Like last night was the most volume with front squats I'd ever done. I did a 5x3 with 275 and then I thought like might as well just go up because I feel really good. And that was at the end of a really heavy training week too. I've been lifting heavy since like Sunday. So to be able to do that, knowing that my body's tired, this is something that only 6 months ago I wouldn't have thought about doing because I mean, yeah, actually, 6 months ago, I was training with my friends and we were all front squatting. I told them, like, I can't do this, dude. I'm not, I'm not gonna try front squatting with you guys. Yeah, it's probably like the biggest in terms of lifting that I like change I've seen.
That's great, man. That's phenomenal. And what about your daily part of your life?
Everything, man. Like bending over. My sleep quality has gotten so much better. There were certain positions where I just couldn't sleep in. And I'd even have to like sometimes like lie with a pillow under my back, like kind of off to one side so that I'd be able to fall asleep. But now, I mean, yeah, it's no issue. I can fall asleep within 15 minutes. I remember I wake up every like 2, 3 hours and have to readjust because my back was getting sore. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I have no issues bending over, picking up things, carrying groceries, stuff like that, stuff that I'd have to actively think about how is my hip sitting when I pick things up or do things now. Yeah, I don't have to think about stuff like that now, which is great.
That's amazing, man. Now, I know you also tried a lot of different things before, and I know you've been having this for years. So, I guess before joining the program, what was your mindset? Like, were you pretty skeptical? Like, if you were, like, what makes you kind of overcome that fear or the skepticism and decide to, give this a shot?
Actually, I had become skeptical of people in this space in general. Yeah, like physiotherapists and whatever other people call themselves. But the reason I wasn't as skeptical to join your program was because I had done an exercise of yours from an Instagram post that you did. I noticed like immediately actually that I think you had like it was you're sitting against the wall. Yeah, just like on the ground and I tried it and I was like, oh wow, this feels like really nice. Like I've gotten this release in my hip that I've really never gotten before. Just off of that, I thought, maybe this could be something like I could get results from this that I've never really gotten before.
That's
So yeah,
great.
yeah.
I think for somebody who's maybe watching or listening to this video right now, they're on the fence of joining the program and they're looking for a leg up. What would be your recommendations, or is there anything you want to say to them?
Might as well give it a try. If you're in a position where, you've tried things and you've never gotten results, it's so hard to say how effective this program is at really addressing, your hip pain or whatever pain you're in at the root level, which is something that I think 99.9% of other people in this space really don't think about, don't address, don't yeah, like it's not even in the conversation, adjusting your frame to solve these issues. I mean, you post, other testimonials from people. I mean, when you have enough people saying the same thing, right? Like like it's hard to argue with that, right?
And a lot of thing what I do want to ask is now, so what about some people say, can this program actually work online? Because I used to go to in-person therapist.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the videos you give are plenty extensive in the instructions. They list common mistakes, and yeah, I mean, I think to me the extensive enough where it's really hard to mess them up. But even if you do, I think what I've always appreciated is how responsive you are. Like I've always gotten a message back within the day, which to me is also like a huge reason why I stayed on for those first few weeks was, even though you have a lot of people that you're on your team that you're working with, you still respond and answer questions really timely if you don't have any questions I mean, if you have any questions from the videos, you're getting them answered from you, which is more than enough for me, I thought.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. Now, I think is there anything else that you want to add at the end?
I'm looking forward to continuing this journey, honestly. I feel like I'm just getting to like baseline now. Like the pain's gone away, but I
Time
want
to,
to see yeah, how much better I can get, like it's one thing for me, it's one thing to be able to get into these positions pain-free. It's another thing to be strong in those positions. And I'm excited to, keep working with you and get to that stage. Your program, it's been really life-changing for me, honestly. Yeah.
100%. Can't wait for that. All right, cool,
Mhm.
man. So I think that's it for the interview. Again, like I said
Cool.
before, super appreciate that you hop on and you agreed to do
Mm.
this. I really,
Yeah.
bottom of my heart.
Yeah,
Thank
no, man. Thank you.